Oh, you're welcome. I'll get the sign and get it back to you. I'll get it done tomorrow.
Radiation trial that he's doing, but it's, you know, it's 7 years. They got 5 year data and said it's perfect. But she'll only get 15 days intensive radiation instead of the 4 to 6 weeks they originally talked about. But she'll go back to they don't offer them. They do it in Memphis, but only people over 60.
I have a little something for her. I'll drop it by that.
It says she was president in 93 and 94. But I'll get this in.
Went to yoga. This one. So she says that's on the shore.
I'm good. Well, from one court to the next. Starting
One infusion.
Tell, I thought it was really good.
But it-
Fruits.
I was supposed to have
We're just so lucky.
And if for the
colors and stuff. It was 10 years ago. There was a picture, I think it was yours, like earth tone, kind of
Oh, yeah,
everything.
that's what mine is. Earth tones.
I hope I can find it. Next year, because it was really cool. So there's another one. These last couple weeks, somebody's going to get lucky. Because I know that we were supposed to have one.
Everyone little
Petrified piece of
I guess that's what we're ready to get forward.
When you make yourself here, hold on now.
This is the color.
You ready to go?
It's crazy.
Everything in this.
I call this meeting of the Oxford Historic Preservation Commission to order. Thank you to all of our commissioners and guests who are in attendance. Let me make a note. Commissioner Jimmy Mogridge is not with us, but he is attending by Zoom, and he's in a situation where he will really not be audibly contributing, and has asked us to assume that unless he does become audible, we should assume that each vote cast, he is casting a yay vote. Next item is approval of our agenda. We're all holding the agenda. Is there a motion that we approve it as we're reading it?
Also moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is approval of the minutes from our November 21st, 2022 meeting. Those were sent to the commissioners electronically, and I assume everyone has had an opportunity to read those. Are there corrections or additions to those minutes? If not, is there a motion that we accept them as presented?
So moved.
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. Any other comments? If not, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We are about to have a discussion of a new date for our February meeting, and I'm assuming Kate's going to lead that discussion.
I don't think it's working. That's fine.
You want to come?
Okay, so just like this month, next month, our meeting falls on President's Day, and City Hall will be closed. So traditionally, you guys have moved the meeting to the following Thursday at 5 p.m., which would be the February 23rd at 5, Thursday the 23rd.
Kate, do we need a motion to change the date?
Yeah, you guys can vote on it. I just wanted to be sure. I set this one since we didn't meet last month, so you guys didn't vote on this one, but I just want to make sure there wasn't an alternate time proposed.
All right, let's get a motion that we reschedule February's meeting to February the 23rd at 5 p.m.
So moved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Staff report. Kate?
Okay, so I placed at each of your seats an annual report. This is the first time we're doing one of these. We thought it would be nice to take a look back at what we did in the past year, and then if we do these every year, we'll be able to compare them year over year for what we are putting out as the Preservation Commission and Planning Department staff. So we, in total, reviewed 54 cases last year. 22 of those were public hearings, which you heard here at the commission level. 9 of them were complimentary reviews, which also were heard by you here at the commission without action. And 23 of those were administrative approvals. So I know you guys see the administrative approvals on the agenda. We put them on there so that the public can view them. The case files, we do the same process and case file for an administrative approval as we do for a public hearing. I think the main things of note on the charts and graphs section is that overwhelmingly the administrative approvals are for non-contributing structures. You can see that in the third chart down. And that the most of the major changes are to contributing structures and items that come before the commission. So that's sort of how we envisioned administrative approvals working when we had that added into the ordinance. So anyway, that's what we're doing. We had about 10 fewer cases for the Courthouse Square Commission, but we'll be doing this same process for them. And happy to answer any questions.
Nobody has questions? This is good information to have.
And it's also online. I didn't put any out in the audience, but it's online for people who are maybe watching this later.
Excellent. I think the commission, I'll commend us myself, should be commended for what we do. We're all volunteers. We do it because we care for our city and want to do what we can to keep the texture of our city in a way that is appealing to citizens and newcomers alike. So thanks to the commissioners for their good efforts. The next item is administrative approvals. There are 4 of those. Does any commissioner have any question about any of those? Or Kate, do you want to comment on any of those?
Number 8, we changed from Daniel Tosh to Dennis Tosh. Yes. Very good.
Jonathan, I had thoughts earlier, so we'll correct it. It might be right in the minutes. I'll have to check back. But,
We move on to public hearings. The first case is case number 714, a COA requested by Tracy Stites for additions and modifications to the existing building at 1516 Pierce Avenue. Kate, would you present the case for us?
so, did they not say the name? Can you guys just, yeah. Okay, so this is an item for public hearing today that we heard at the last meeting of the commission in November as a complimentary item. So this is 1516 Pierce Avenue. The applicant seeks approval for additions and renovations to the existing building. As I just stated, it was the subject of a complimentary review in November. And then prior to that, in 2020, the commission reviewed a plan to demolish the house and put in 6 total units that was denied. So the couple, obviously, who has purchased this house wants to restore it rather than demolish it. The existing house, built circa 1945, is a 1-story cottage. The Historic Resources Inventory Survey for the property dates it around 1945 and notes that the exterior walls are covered with vinyl siding, windows are 3/1 double-hung sashes, describes the gable roof front porch with wrought iron posts and a 3-light replacement door. It's listed as contributing in the South Lamar Historic District. While the resource survey notes that there's craftsman influence, the house is clearly, in staff's opinion, also in the minimal traditional style that's prevalent around the time of this building's construction. It's a simple, small house built quickly and economically as infill into the existing neighborhood, as minimal traditional houses normally were. The applicant's proposed changes include enclosing an existing carport and the addition of a third bedroom, 2 baths on the southwest corner of the existing house. The applicant proposes an addition that would include a mudroom, bathroom, pantry, and a screened-in porch with a fireplace. And the plans include a new garage off of this addition. Several of the items that were discussed at the complimentary review were addressed in the updated application. The plans show retention of the existing windows, which at the complimentary review that was discussed, and that's consistent with the recommendations of the Oxford Design Guidelines. Where new windows are specified in the areas of addition, they're to be 3/1 to match existing. The existing ground planters will be removed to allow for the addition of window boxes on the front elevation, as well as a new CMU skirt that's going to be installed around the house. And the existing electrical connections and boxes will be moved to the side elevation. That was a big point of discussion at the last hearing. Proposed changes to the front porch include a slightly smaller gable with a steeper pitch. This was discussed at the complimentary review, and maybe Tracy can speak to this when she comes up, but they discovered a previous porch, I guess footprint, even though it's for the gable, when they were doing some discovery at the house. And they also proposed to replace the existing metal supports with new wood columns, and to install a Chippendale-style railing on each side of the revised front porch, which you can't really see in the front elevation, but you can see that in the side elevation. The proposed wood posts and railing are not consistent with the Oxford Design Guidelines, which recommend that identifying, retaining, and preserving entrances and their functional and decorative features that are important in defining the overall historic character of the building should be retained. The commission may find that the existing metal posts are not a character-defining feature of the building and can be replaced, or they can recommend that they be retained. Similarly, a simpler, lower railing may be recommended by the commission. The applicant proposes to remove the existing asbestos siding and vinyl siding. So right now we've got vinyl siding over asbestos. And to install a new 8-inch smooth finish Hardie lap siding. Hardie is commonly approved in Oxford's historic districts and is appropriate for the style and age of the house. The additions are limited to the rear portion of the existing home and are consistent with the recommendations for new additions to historic buildings in the Oxford Design Guidelines. They're compatible in design and roof form and proportion to the main structure, while being clearly identifiable as additions. So staff is recommending approval of the certificate of appropriateness. If the commission finds the changes to the front entry inappropriate, staff recommends that more simple picket railing is installed, and then the commission may or may not choose to require the retention of the metal post rather than wood, although I didn't, at the complimentary review I wasn't sure what the feeling on that was. So Tracy Stites, who is the applicant's architect, is here, so if she would like to come up. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have as well.
Thank you, Kate.
Hi, I'm Tracy Stites, and first with the columns, I'm not really sure if those are completely original with what was built in 1945. They're, and we'll know once we really get in there and start looking around. Bruce Macy's actually here. He's going to be the general contractor. So he'll actually, there needs to be a little bit more discovery on that, but for other houses that were built around that time, those wouldn't have been typical for that house. They actually would have been a wood post, and all of the other houses currently on that street that were built during the same time, they all have the wood post right now. So we're wanting to take it back to, well, work better with what's actually in the neighborhood.
Yeah, I agree that we don't know their original.
Yeah, we really don't.
When were metal posts popular?
Well, some minimal traditional style houses have them. I do think the ones on this house are kind of decorative compared to what you would see, but I have no way of, we don't have any photographic evidence.
They're so ugly, but I know they're appropriate for.
I think what I'm saying is we don't know that they're original.
We don't, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad there's a hook that we can
Yeah.
take them down.
The front door was definitely replaced, and from the looks of the front door, I would guess that to have been replaced in the late 60s, because that door style was popular then and got
Yeah.
replaced a lot. So my guess would be sometime in the 60s, when they replaced the front door, they replaced the columns, which was a popular thing to do, especially if the existing wood columns had any type of rot or anything like that. So, but again, no one really knows for sure.
While you're talking about that particular part of the house, speak to the justification of Chippendale.
Okay, so this house, we know it was built very economically, very quickly, back in 1945, which is very typical for this style of house and the actual layout of the house, everything like that. So again, we're gonna uncover stuff once we remove the vinyl, but there was probably not a lot of character features to the house originally. Unfortunately, that was just the way they were built. It's a very small house for then, so it would have been built very quickly. So the homeowner is actually wanting to try to add some character into this house. The two houses located right across the street are pretty much what they would have been back when they were originally built, and they are very plain, very simple. So they are really trying to bring up the character in this house just a little bit. And if you go one street south on Buchanan, there's several houses on that street that actually have that style of railing. So they've seen that, they like that. Looking through historic pictures on some of the ideas that were used, because basically that box back in 1945, you could dress up the exterior however you wanted it to. I don't know for sure if this one was done that way. My guess would be no, but those were features that were added on to basically that box to dress it up however the homeowner wanted it to be dressed up. So there are houses out there with that type of railing that were original to 1940s houses, built similar to that.
Thank you. Floor is open for commissioners to ask questions about any part of this.
So what size are those columns you ended up doing on the front?
6 by 6.
Okay.
Yes, from last time, I believe they were plugged in at 8 by 8, but that was mentioned during the complimentary review to reduce the size. And after looking around, especially on that particular street, most of them are 6 by 6. So yeah, we took them down a little bit. Now on Buchanan, some of the larger porches that are on similar houses, they do have the larger columns, but their porches are a little bit larger too. So I think it's justified there.
Joel, does 6 by 6 sound good for you? We appreciate the fact that you did the courtesy visit and responded in an appropriate way to those comments from us.
I like it, and I like the window boxes very much for, adding some characters. And I know my mom's old house on South 11th Street had the Chippendale style, I don't know what you call it, on top of the porch. The Etheridge's old house, the Wickers now have that too. So, we see that style in the district.
Yeah, there's not any on this particular street right now, but again, a lot of the houses haven't been updated either. So again, if you go one street over, you see it, but it's not quite here yet. But again, the clients they really like that style. They want to add character to this house. We don't want it to look exactly like the two across the street either. Those are college rentals, and they look like college rentals. So they don't want this to be a college rental. This is truly their second home to come to football games and double-decker and all that. So, and they have really good design style. So I want to take that into consideration.
Are there any other thoughts about this particular aspect that we're talking about now? Not so much the posts, but but the railing, and I surely understand what you're saying about wanting to put more character in the house. I personally wish it could be character that would be more universally like this period house, which I don't think Chippendale is. And I'm familiar with the ones on Buchanan, and they bother me every time I pass by them.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
No, but I think your mothers they were different somehow.
Somehow different, okay.
Your mother's house is more colonial revival.
Yeah, those were, I
Okay.
think, legit. Did anybody else have any issue, any problem with the Chippendale?
I mean, honestly, they're on the side, and
Yeah.
3 years from now, when the shrubbery grows up, you're never gonna see them again.
Okay.
What you got?
That is true, yes.
Are there any other questions about any other part of this case that anybody would like to question or make a comment?
They're trying to save all the mature trees. You know, we've talked through that at great length. There are some that definitely need a lot of attention just from neglect, but they love the lot. They want to clean it up. So that's great.
If there are no other comments, is there a motion to approve this case 714?
I so move.
There's a motion and a second. Any other comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Case 714 is approved. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, we tied.
Luke and Blair,
We jinxed.
Luke and Blair are 1 and 2 in any order you choose.
It is now with record, so.
Okay.
Next case is case number 715, COA, requested by Bruce Crane to build brick wall and enlarge an existing porch at 413 South 5th Street.
We're having trouble getting the applicant on the line, so we just want a second.
I'm sorry, did you say the applicant is online?
He's not.
Well, shall we move to the next case? And
We can do that, and Virginia will.
the next case is requested by Virginia Lukenbach. So Virginia is recusing herself, and just for the record, Virginia has an association with the case that will follow this case, so she is recusing herself for the next 2 cases.
Well, unless Bruce Crane
Oh,
gets on the
she's got to
line.
come back.
Yeah.
Sorry, forgot we changed order.
We'll come grab you, Virginia. Okay.
So, yeah, look,
717.
we're on case 717.
Yes. So this case is regarding 1503 South 10th Street. In February of 2022, they had a pretty extensive rear yard plan approved that included a new pool house, replacing their existing wood fence with a brick wall around the property edges. Anyway, so that was approved in February, and they've come back with a few changes proposed, including removal of the existing storage building, changes to their previously approved site plan, and to expand the footprints of the approved pool house and storage buildings. So the existing storage building was removed in error without the approval of the commission, but it was a circa 2014 storage building, so it wasn't a historic resource that was removed. So the proposed pool house and new storage building, they're in the same location as previously proposed with a slightly expanded footprint and with a little bit of a different design. Instead of the previously approved siding, the applicant proposes painted brick. Painted brick was approved for the new brick wall that surrounds the property, and the existing house is painted brick. So staff does find that use appropriate in this instance. The style of the buildings was also slightly changed with a sloped shed roof rather than the previously approved gable roofs. And it also features larger bifold doors instead of the previously approved, more French style. It was like French double doors in the previous proposal. The proposed changes to the outbuilding are complementary to the main house, which has been renovated with some modernist influence. The Oxford Design Guidelines recommend that new buildings designated for districts with existing secondary buildings should consider the contributions they make to the character of the site and the street. The proposed outbuilding meets this recommendation, both outbuildings, and they're appropriate in design, scale, and material for the site. So staff is recommending approval of the COA as proposed. Are you here representing this one? Yeah.
I'll attempt to answer questions
If they're already, yeah.
Thank you, Kate. Jonathan, would you like to add anything to Kate's
Ben, do you maybe want to share my screen again?
overview?
Since, okay.
I don't think so, but I'm
Here.
happy to answer the question.
You've been here before. The floor is open for questions, for comments about details of case 715. It's a beautiful house.
These make a great addition to it.
If there are no questions, is there a motion that we approve case 715?
So moved.
I'll second that.
We have, Joel made the motion, and Ms. Scruggs is the second.
Great.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The COA is approved. Thank you.
I'm not, okay, okay. Virginia? Yeah, we're gonna take your screen real quick, yeah.
That was 717, wasn't it? So are we ready to hear case 715? I'm sorry, I
715.
referred to it by the wrong number a second ago.
That's it.
So now we are indeed
And we have
hearing COA for case 715.
715, and we have Bruce Crane. Okay, so this case concerns the contributing property located at 413 South 5th Street. The applicant requests approval for construction of a brick wall to run the length of the back of the property, as well as changes to the existing covered porch that connects the main house with an existing garage. The property is described in the Historic Resource Inventory as a 2-story, 4-bay, frame, gable, and wing house variant with Queen Anne influences, built circa 1900. Complex hip and gable roofs covered with metal patterned shingles with box cornice and frieze. Exterior walls covered with weatherboard siding, gable end covering with fish scale shingles, and gable end undercut for a 2-story polygonal bay. So I'll address the requested brick wall first, and then the covered porch. The commission can vote on the 2 requests separately or vote on the proposal as a whole. So first, the brick wall. The applicant proposes to construct an approximately 150-foot linear brick wall which will run the south side of the property. The wall will stand 6 feet high with 12 brick columns that will be painted to match the home. The proposed wall will tie in with existing fencing across the rear of the property, that's wood fencing, as well as a smaller section in the same style as the proposed. The Oxford Design Guidelines recommend that generally Mississippi masonry walls were not original features of historic landscapes unless they function as retaining walls. The Land Development Code recommends fences and walls shall be of design and materials compatible with surrounding development. Should the commission find that an installation of a brick wall in this location is acceptable, the proposed wall is compatible with both material and design, as it will match a section of already existing wall. The Land Development Code also states, When located behind the front of a building line, the maximum height for a fence located in the side or rear yard shall be 8 feet tall. This proposed wall will set back from the front elevation, will not exceed 6 feet in height, which is an appropriate height for this location. Painted masonry is a request that often comes before the commission. Though brick is frequently approved and appropriate material for the district, the design guidelines recommend against painting brick due to the resulting moisture concerns. However, the proposed wall will be constructed of denser modern brick, and the commission has allowed painting new brick construction in several recent cases. As previously stated, the proposed fence will tie in with similar existing wall that sits back from the front elevation. Though this section is screened by landscaping, and the proposed would be much more visible from the street. So next, we'll address the modifications to the porch. The applicant proposes replacing the roof covering the applicant proposes replacing the roof covering an existing paved courtyard. The project will utilize existing columns and include a new rafter, wood ceiling, and a metal roof to match existing in style and color. An existing brick wall that extends the length of the south side of the courtyard will remain. The new roof will measure 32 feet across and will increase the height by approximately 17 inches. The proposed changes are part of a non-original portion of the house and will not be visible from the street. The commission should consider if the installation of a brick wall in this location is appropriate. If so, the materials and design are compatible with the existing property in the South Lamar District, and staff recommends the approval of the COA as proposed. And Bruce Crane, I believe, is on now to answer any questions.
I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
The house has a brick wall in front of it, right?
As it stands now, there's a brick wall that runs perpendicular to the house that ties in with the south property line. And yes, you're correct. That's existing, and would like to turn it and run it parallel with the side of the house to the back of the property.
And that's adjoining the parking lot for the Baptist Student Union?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe the property line is right on the curb of the Baptist Student Union.
Yes.
So a portion of the brick privacy wall is already in place, the one that runs perpendicular.
That's correct. Yeah, and I believe there's a picture of that, if I'm not mistaken. There.
Yeah, yeah.
And then there's some at the rear that is screening something as well.
It's like the air conditioning?
Screening the HVAC,
Yeah, there's 4 mechanical units that sit on the side of the house that, we could screen.
Are there any questions for Mr. Crane about this COA? Everything meets with approval from the staff.
This is a case to me where the painted brick is entirely appropriate.
Yeah. And actually, they've already started, there's painted brick.
Yes, it's going to look really better.
Yeah. Is there a motion that we approve case number 715?
So moved.
This motion, is there a second? Motion is second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. And now Virginia is leaving once again. Virginia is recusing herself.
I think you're safe to go this time, yeah.
Thank you, Virginia.
Go outside. And it is complimentary, but you still can't be in the room.
This is a complimentary review requested by Jonathan Maddox for demolition of existing structure at 1406 Pierce Avenue.
Yeah, I'm gonna mostly let Jonathan do the talking here, but I will say that I included the historic resource inventory survey with his preliminary proposal that has the details on the house, another minimal traditional style house. We have it dated from that survey at circa 1945 and modified in 1980 with what I'm sure you all saw as an interesting addition. It's listed as contributing in the historic district. So Jonathan, if you want to come take it away.
I guess that one overrules this one.
John, please introduce yourself for the record.
Hey, Jonathan Maddox with Haworth and Associates. So this is one of those projects. There are a number of issues with this house, and I wanted to just have this conversation with you as we're trying to find a way forward. My client recently purchased the property last year. They did not go inside the house and tour the house when they bought it because it was occupied. They were buying it as an investment property. When that lease turned over and they got inside is when they realized, I guess I would say, their mistake in buying it. But it has some difficult issues to correct. One of them is that the house extends over the property line by an addition, a carport on the west side of the house. That clearly isn't an original addition, but even still, the house itself sits within the setback over there on that side. So we have a location issue on the site. The addition on the east side of the house, which is a two-story addition, has a basement level bedroom and bathroom, which you have some images of, was added sometime in the 80s, and in doing so, it compromised the foundation of the original house. You have a number of pictures on the page that has the exterior views. If you notice on the bottom row, those are images from within the crawl space of the original house, adjacent to the now downstairs bedroom. The picture in the middle in particular is one that I want to call your attention to, because if we're able to play it, I have a video I'd like to show you of that location. So that is somewhere under those double windows on the front elevation of the house, which is, there's a kind of a concrete apron that goes the length of the front of the house. So this is a basement level wall against earth on the other side. There's a giant crack in it. This is at that corner where that addition happened, and there's a fireplace which doesn't appear to be supported there. But in addition to the structural issue that's happening all in that corner, we have a pretty serious water issue. Will that video play? Yeah. I was sort of queuing that video up. So this is when it's raining. There's a significant amount of water that pours through the foundation crack. And this, again, is underground on the front of the house. And there are other issues. I would invite all of you to go by.
Is this taken just during a rainstorm?
Yeah. That is a crawl space that is adjacent to that downstairs bedroom. So, of course, this water then goes into that bedroom that's adjacent to that, which is shoddy construction at best. Over there, you'll notice the bathroom of many colors. You can't really stand up in that bathroom. I can't anyway. So, it's really a ridiculous kind of space down there. And the fact that it floods frequently, because we have these heavy rains so often these days, it's an issue.
Jonathan, what is your client's intentions?
So,
what were their intentions when they bought it, I suppose?
To maintain it as an investment property. It's been a rental, obviously, for a very long time. Given the amount of work that it would take to do anything to the house. And how much money they invested in purchasing it to begin with. We feel like the best use of this property would be single family and not rental property. So in replacing this house, we would like to make it something that's more appropriate for a family. Right now, it really isn't in terms of the way it's laid out, and you can see that from the kitchen/laundry room photographs and so forth. So we think we can make it a better contributing house on this street. To the east, which is down to your right on that sheet, is other rental property, but the house to the left is single family. So it's right in that line that's defining, and right now they're part of that rental line, and they'd like to move that line over. As I'm sure you will guess, what I want to do in replacing any structure there is to put back a cottage that from the street is a very similar proportioned kind of cottage. We would obviously slide it over so that it complies with setbacks and so forth. We do need to make it bigger to make it more appropriate for a family, so we would add on, but we're primarily thinking we would add on in the back, and therefore maintaining that similar scale of roof and proportion on the front, which is not terribly unlike the house you just saw, which is just up the street. Obviously, I don't want to go down the road of spending a lot of time trying to design a new house without some feedback from you guys. And just, I would invite you to go by there. Kate and I talked about the possibility of that. We could, of course, the house is locked, but we can make it available to you. However, that needs to work. If you'd like to see these conditions for yourself, it'd be a pretty tough challenge to renovate it in a way that would make it anything more than what it is now in terms of its rentability or sellability.
What we can do is maybe pick a day to leave it open, since they can't go at the same time as the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah.
They can just come through when they get a minute that day and do it, if that works for your client.
Yeah. It's vacant, obviously, because the owners deemed it unlivable, so.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, the safety issue of the foundation in general, like, doesn't seem that safe, right?
It's not great. I mean, you can tell there's an issue when you're walking around on the first floor, and when you go into the crawl space, then you realize why the floors are crooked and so forth.
It's probably the kind of house we really ought to visit, whether it's a group or individually, because I have a feeling, I might be wrong, but I think probably once you visit it and see what's been added onto it and what kind of condition it's in, it'll certainly, one way or the other, it's gonna help you feel good about your decision.
Yeah,
And just looking at pictures is harder, but it kind of looks like it's one that really warrants a visit.
Well, and to that point, the structural engineer's evaluation of that would be required too. Have you had anybody over there at this point?
No. We certainly would, but you can't go as a group, but we can open it up for a day or two so that you can go in
I think that'd
smaller
be a great
amounts.
idea if there could be a day or two when we just knew it was open and we could go individually. Other comments from anybody? Since this is complimentary, everything's supposition, what do you think the new owners will do if we don't agree to demolish the house?
That's a tough question. I don't know. Could try to patch it up, but I think that's a difficult proposition.
Well, thank you for bringing it, and it sounds like everybody's agreed that a good next step would be to give us an opportunity to look at the house.
Is there a way prior to another meeting that I could get some feedback from that? Can they deliver comments to you and you relay those to me? Or?
I think you would probably have to get that at the next meeting.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that it's, and I think we've done it in the past where you've been able to be there with each of the commissioners.
Okay.
If you would like
Well,
that.
that would be helpful.
I think we've done it with the courthouse square.
Hear the thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you kind of created, I don't know how many, 2, 3 time slots, then it's not like you or somebody would have to just stay there all day hoping somebody.
I don't think it's going to take you very long to kind of get a good grasp on it. But it would be helpful to have that, because I mean, my point of coming was I wanted to hear kind of what you really thought, and I know you need to see it to understand it, give me feedback, but I'd like to be there if I could and hear it.
We will figure that out and talk to you after.
Okay? Thank you.
I think what we would probably try and do is coordinate with Jonathan maybe a day or two and then float that out with different time slots and then like through a doodle poll so that way maybe y'all could sign up for a spot individually and then maybe we do it over 2 days and have 5 slots signed up for, so that way we at least spread it out and y'all know and it may accommodate y'all's schedule.
Yeah.
That'd probably be the easiest way to do it.
How will the issue about the carport that, if I understood you correctly, extends beyond the property line?
By several feet, if you look at the site plan.
How will that be resolved?
The only way to resolve that really is to remove it. But even still, I would have to go to the planning commission and seek a variance because the house itself sits over the setback line. That's probably less egregious than sitting over the property line, but
So you got problems on 2 sides of 4.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not proposing any exterior changes, I don't necessarily know we can talk about that later, planning stuff. But yes, I think removing it from the neighboring property would probably be a good start.
okay. Thank you for your time.
I might have some property I'd like to sell your client. Is there anything else to come before the board? If not, is there a motion that we adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned. Jonathan, could you wait just a second, please?
This is beautiful.